I have to show you this. I'm going to probably spend some time on this tomorrow. We were going to show it to you today, but I think I'm running out of time. This is an old book. By the way, I love the listeners that we have and the viewers that we have on this program. Somebody just sent this to me. Thank you. Recovery and Re-Election or Radicalism. It's 1936. It was prepared especially for FDR. Radicalism. It is exactly the blueprint that we're doing now. This is a leather-bound blueprint for the election of 36. I'll show it to you here later this week. If you've been paying attention at all to what's happening in America, or you've watched the show, before, I believe we're facing, I think, our biggest challenges ever. The Republic, does it survive or not? Do we turn the page and start a new chapter, or do we close the book on America? I have a few friends that spend a lot of time in China, and one of them is really depressed every time he comes back here to America. He loves America, he loves his country, but he just can't believe what he sees in America because China is so vibrant, so alive right now. He sees people in China who are energized and excited. They know that the world is about to change, but they're facing it without fear. When he comes home, he senses that we are just hanging on, don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. And that we're losing our dreamers, we're losing our risk takers, our people who are willing and able to think out of the box. We're just trying to hang on. He was telling me about a recent experience that he had where he was sitting with some Chinese leaders, businessmen, and they said, America's kind of screwed here. America has very few options left, but this was their moment of hope. Americans may not have any more money or industry, they don't have any clout left, but what they do have, unlike anyone else in the world, you have dreamers and entrepreneurs. You have people that create solutions, create new answers, they innovate. That's what is going to give America a chance. There was a speech given in 1959 by JFK, and he pointed out these two symbols here. We have them just on the board, right behind me. Yep, those two symbols. It is composed of two characters. One represents danger, and the other represents opportunity. Richard Nixon reiterated that. The Chinese believe that the symbols indicate danger and crisis equal with opportunity. More recently, Condoleezza Rice repeated this during her Middle East peace talks, and Al Gore has made a big deal out of the Chinese symbols during his testimony before the U.S. House of Representatives, during his acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize. He went on and on and on and on about it. And I hate to disagree with Al Gore and JFK and Condoleezza Rice, but see, I'm held to a higher standard here. We want to make sure we're accurate. Otherwise, everybody will say, if I said that, they go, no, that's not what it means. It actually doesn't mean opportunity. It means moment in time. There is danger at this moment. That's what that means. You change the danger character and put it with another series of characters, then this will mean opportunity. But I'm sorry, was I talking down to Al Gore? I'm sorry. Here's the thing. We are looking at a time now where everything can change. Everything can change. We should look at this. They may have said this character wrong. They may have said the wrong thing, but you know what? What is true is it is a point of opportunity. Another friend of mine who doesn't meet with Chinese leaders or business people, he's more like me, he just likes Chinese food. Once in a while we'll go out and get a good Chinese food, Kung Pao chicken or something. Anyway, he is a guy who asked me just last week, Glenn, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Why should we live in a country? Why should we accept this income disparity? What do we do about it? Well, first of all, the poor are not getting poorer, but there is a growing disparity. If Bill Gates goes from $50 billion and you go from $52,000 to $55,000 a year, the gap between you and Bill is about $10 billion greater. But has that affected you in any way? It hasn't. It hasn't. Except you might be a little hacked off at Bill Gates because he has all that money, but that is not his problem or society's problem, that's yours. But there is something that is happening that you should talk about. We are no longer a country that creates things of value. We don't manufacture steel anymore. We don't make TVs or textiles. We don't even make furniture here anymore. We don't make clothing here anymore. We're bankers, we're lawyers, we're consumers. We create nothing except digitized money. And when that happens, the guys at the top at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup and things like that, the people who I think create almost black magic, it's alchemy. I mean, they tell you that they're creating money out of digits. And all that's fine, but we have to also create something of real value like we used to. Things like the Model T. Now, why is that important? Because it wasn't just about the Model T. It wasn't just about Fords getting rich. That Model T was purchased by somebody else. Maybe he was had an orange grove in Florida or Southern California. Now he could get his product across the country quickly because there was a car. It broadened the customer base. He got rich. That also created the ability of a furniture guy in the Carolinas saying, wait a minute, my chairs and sofas, now I can put onto a truck and get them to Marshall Fields in Chicago. I can make more money. That's the way the system works. But if the guys at the top are only doing banking stuff and there is no opportunity, that doesn't create opportunity for you, the small guy, then you can't get rich too. That's why that makes a difference. The ones who are controlling our government are not creating wealth. At best, they're protecting it, at best. But most of the times, they're actually destroying the wealth or sending our wealth overseas. That's why the answer is you, the dreamer. The person who still believes that you can change the world. You can. And if you don't believe me, in the next few months, I'm going to show you the Americans that are doing it. Tonight, I'll show you just a couple that have done it. Next. Okay, I've told you if we're going to survive as a nation, we have to know who we are. We have to restore our faith. We have to restore our history. We have to understand our Constitution. And then we have to pick up our responsibilities. But there's something else that is of great concern, at least to me. Can we still succeed? Yes, if we can innovate. Can we lead the world? Yes, but we must be dreamers. Apparently, we're losing our edge. This is a disturbing study, came out, I think I talked to you about it maybe a few months ago. It was a report issued by Information Week. 68% of business technology professionals believe the U.S. has lost its position as a global IT innovation leader. Here's some findings from this report. When asked what's preventing the U.S. from growing as a global IT leader, 21% said it's because of a corporate culture where tech workers are no longer hungry enough to out-innovate counterparts abroad. Why? Americans are losing our ability to think out of the box. And when you can't think out of the box, trouble. It's disturbing. It implies that we are going to be trapped in the box. We need to get hungry again. The way you get hungry again is to have strife, to have failures. One of the greatest innovators and inventors of our country was Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, I mean, look at these inventions that America's been responsible for. I mean, really amazing. Thomas Edison, this guy, Mary had a little lamb. That's what was said into this. He worked 20 hours a day. He tried to revolutionize the world. After this, after sound, he did all kinds of things. He did movies and he worked on the telephone. He did everything. He tried to work on electric power. Now, people were working on electric power all around the world. It took Edison a year and a half, and he finally completed this, the incandescent light bulb. You're not going to be able to buy these again next year because government knows better than Edison. He's credited with the quote, genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Besides the light bulb, he did the phonograph, which was originally a wax cylinder. He did the kinescope, which is a moving, film, a little box that you would watch. He improved on the original design of the stock ticker, the telegraph. His friend Alexander Graham Bell called him up, went over to his house and said, hey, I have this idea, can you help me with it? But the greatest challenge he had to overcome wasn't any of this. The greatest challenge he had to overcome, most Americans have never heard of. And it used to be the way Americans were. It needs to be again. I'll tell you the story next. So what is going to save America? I contend it is you finding something inside of you. It is the entrepreneurial spirit. It is creativity and innovation. It is you not getting beaten down. Too often we think of people like Thomas Edison. Actually, I should say people don't usually think of Thomas Edison anymore. Teach your children about Thomas Edison. This guy, we think of him as, oh yeah, he just had an idea and then he made it happen. Really? Is that the way it worked? You know how many times he was talking? This was a wax cylinder. You know how many times he had to crank this thing and say, Mary had a little lamb, and it came back, nothing. Edison, Bell, Ford, they failed. I think Ford failed 3 times with the assembly line. He came back to investors 3 times, and they're like, okay, Henry, really? They overcame failure. They learned from it. December 9th, 1914. This is a critical date. December 9th. Why? It's a story most people don't know. A massive fire broke out in a room in Edison's laboratory in West Orange, New Jersey. It contained highly flammable film. That's what he was working on. It spread to more than half of the buildings in the complex. The fire wiped out almost everything that he had been working on for years. It was all gone. But did Edison curl up in a ball and cry, Mommy? No. Within hours after the fire had been put out, he began a complete rehabilitation of the plant. Early the next morning, after working all through the night, just writing down ideas and thinking about what is he going to do, hundreds of workers came and they started working around the clock to get the plant back into some kind of working order until a larger and more efficient facility than original had been completed. Edison said this, and think about this. I asked you last week if you're a retiree, what the heck are you doing in retirement? Get off the golf course. Come on back. We need your help. All of your experience, we need you to pass it on to your children and grandchildren, please. Edison said this, I'm 67, but I'm not too old to make a fresh start. That is the spirit that defined this country from its inception. Edison, December 9th, 1914. Remember it. It is the spirit that when we tap into it, it will spark the restoration of the greatest nation in the history of the planet. We have something that no one else has. Imagination, tenacity, and the ability to think out of the box. Live it. Restore the nation. Okay, I have to show you this. This is a guy running against Barney Frank, Sean Belot. He is doing an interview in a hallway when a guy starts heckling him. Watch this, because the guy heckling is actually Barney Frank's boyfriend. Watch.
Are you really standing here and heckling me? Is that really what you're doing?
You started talking to me first.
Are you? You guys believe this?
You started talking to me first. You got to be kidding me. Imagine if Todd Palin was doing that, what they would say. By the way, Sarah, thanks for the $1 trillion line. From New York, good night, America.